Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. It's me, Christy, and I'm here with the Tuesday Tea with me. And we are coming from part 2 of the Magic of Believing, it's a classic guide to unlocking the power of your mind. I was listening to, what was the name of that audiobook? You know what? I will pull it up so I don't have to guess it. I have it saved on my YouTube. It's about developing the leader within. And he made a comment, I think it was on the last chapter of staff development, or it may have been in the chapter on people. I think it might have been the chapter on people, but he said that God's gift to you is your purpose, and your gift to God is purpose or talents or something like that. And your gift to God is using those. And I was like, yes. So we all have these things in us, talents, skills, curated by God or whomever you believe in, the universe or whatever the case is. And it is our gift to God to put those things in practice, to actually use those things he's given to us. And that's why I think this book is so amazing and so great, is because it's the guide to unlocking the power and the gifts that have already been given to you. It's the magic of believing, one, that you have them, and two, that is your God-given right to use those and give those as a gift back to him. Hello, somebody. So it's me, Christy, and I am coming to you from part 2. So part 2, and this is part 2 that I have broken down because I've broken this book down in 4 parts. Last week, we did chapters how I came to tap the power of belief, the power of belief that I surely, without a shadow of doubt, believe in. It is one of those things. So people will present to me so many things to do, like, oh, you're good at that business, so here, try this business. Like I get travel business all in my DM all the time. I get makeup and different other businesses to try. And I'm like, no, because I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it for me. I'm not saying that the travel business doesn't work, but I book my own travel and I've never had any problems with it. I know how to get deals, and I like taking free trips. So I work my business so that I can get free trips, like the one that I'm taking next month. To my husband and I are taking for free to Grand Cayman Islands, and the Dominican Republic I've been to for free. And Aruba, I've been to for free. So it's like, unless you're getting not discounted, but unless you're giving it to free, I don't personally believe in, for me, that is a good business. But everything that I've done, I believed in. And I am a believer that the reason I've been successful in all these things is because I only sign up for what I believe in. I only sign up for what I know without a shadow of a doubt I can be successful in. All right. So the next chapter that we talked about last week was mind stuff experiments. And I just want to put this up here that if you have missed those, you can go catch it at the YouTube at The Christy Farmer. So go ahead and tag, shout out, bring in people who you've respected because their mindset, like, you're like, man, they are always on it. Like they believe in themselves and they go after it. Tag them in this because I hope this will help them and help other people to get where their mind is at, right? Then we talked about what the subconscious is. So today I'm going to touch on, and I have my notes here so I can stay on task because I can go off on a tangent here. Not perfect by all means, but always growing to be better. And I hope I encourage you to do that with me as well. Is today, I have it on here. The Magic of Believing is the book that we're talking about. And then I also put in here, and I may not have saved it, which is the actual, I know what it is. Hide it. Bam, there it is. Harnessing the power within. That is what we're talking about today. So last week was part 1, the understanding of the foundation of everything, which is the power of belief. So now we know that there's a power to believe. So drop number 1 in the comments if you believe there is power in believing. All right. Now, if you're religious and you believe in God and a certain religion, then you have to believe there's power in believing. Otherwise, you wouldn't believe that, right? So number 2 today is harnessing that power that we believe exists in us. Not just seeing it. I hear people all the time like, Christy, you are so this, and Christy, you are so that. And I'm like, and so are you. So this is harnessing what you have within you. Okay. And it may not be those things that I say that you're saying for me, but you have your own gifts and talents within you. So we're going to talk about how to get to that. So it is the suggestion is power. And then the art of mental pictures. You have to see it yourself to believe it. So I'm going to jump to the book because I like quoting the book. because I have read it and I encourage you to read it too. And on page 41, I think is the first thing I'm going to talk about. He says on 41, conscious mind is the source of all of the thoughts. And the powers of our conscious mind, as I'm reading here on page 41, is that mind is the reason, logic, form, judgment, calculation, conscious, and the moral sense. All those are things that we are conscious of. We're conscious of logic, all right? We're conscious of calculations. 1 + 1 is 2. That's our conscious mind. Just as the conscious mind is a source of thought, so the subconscious is the source of power. Now, I'm going to that on page 2 because what does that mean? That your subconscious is the source of power. So the subconscious mind on page 42, he says, is not only a mighty storehouse of ever-ready material, which can be placed at the disposal of the conscious. So you store things in your subconscious. I believe, now this is not what the book said, but this is just what I believe, and what I believe is the magic of it, is that we store things in our subconscious, and that's why sometimes we're like, I've been here before. I've been here before. Now, there's other teachings about what that means and where that comes from, but I believe that we store things in our subconscious, whether on purpose or not. And then when we actually experience it, it comes to fruition. It's like, oh, I've been here. Because we may even have forgot that we have put that in our subconscious. Well, continue what he says on page 42. It says, but also a powerhouse of energy with which the individual can be charged, thus enabling him to recover strength, courage, and also his faith in himself. So that's subconscious can restore your faith in yourself. So to make this practical, he says, instinct is your subconscious, and every part of life constitutes true wisdom, and we must form the habit of preferring in all cases its guidance, which is given as it is used. Your subconscious is given as you use it. So the powers of the subconscious, all right, that's like, whoa, Christy, over my head, bring it to where I am. But that's what I'm here for today, is to help you with the things that I read and try to bring it to an understanding that you can apply in life, because I got some homework to end. So stick around to this. I have some homework to help you with your magic of believing. It came from the book, but I'm gonna give it to you. Okay. It says your subconscious is your intuition. Your subconscious is your emotions. It's a certitude. It's inspiration. It's suggestion. It's deduction. It's imagination. It's organization. It is memory. It's your dynamic energy. Energy. That's Beyonce coming in right there. I don't know what song it is. If you know it, drop it in the comments and remind us of the rest of it. First, your subconscious is intuitive understanding of your bodily needs. It maintains and preserves your conscious mind. Second, it is, he says on page 43 in the previous chapter, in times of great emergency, your subconscious jumps into immediate action. And then third, it is the operative and the psychic. So it is the phenomenon, it's the telepathy, it's the clairvoyance, it's the psychokinesis. Those are all the subconscious. That's how you can wrap around or define your subconscious. All right, now, I know many of you like, okay, great. We know what subconscious is. How do I make this work for me? Okay, there's 3 purposes for your subconscious that I've shared with you right now. But the subconscious on page 43, he says, manifests itself only according to the capabilities of the person. So we all have this subconscious. We all have this telepathy. We all have this clairvoyance. We all have the ability to read and understand and bring to a higher level, as only if we believe it and use it. See, many of us don't believe it, so we don't use it, and we find ourselves always trying to catch up with the people who are using it and who do believe it and who trust their intuition, who trust all the things that they are being shared in their subconscious, who, when you get, it says later in this chapter that some of the most successful people, or habits of very successful, influential people, is that when they keep notebooks by the side of their bed. Drop a number 3 in the comments if you are like me and other successful people and you keep a notebook next to your bed, because they're some of their most influential thoughts that change their trajectory of their life, their finances, their wealth, and their family take place at night. And so they need to write those things down so they wake up first thing in the morning. Because if I didn't used to do this, and I'd be like, I remember. And I wake up in the morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. That was so amazing. I know if I applied it, it would have changed so many things, and I forgot it. So now I keep it by my bedside. I also have an app on my phone, take notes. And so when things come to me, if I sit here reading this book and share with you, I believe it's my subconscious, right? That is bringing into fruition or showing me, and some of you will call this, God. But the fact is, as we talked about in last chapter, that God speaks to you, but you don't believe it. Like the lady said, she prayed to God that tomorrow it would be sunny outside so she could do the things that she wanted to do, like go shopping. And as soon as she finished her prayer, she opened her eyes. Now, if you missed that last week, you can go on over to YouTube and catch the replay of that. Subscribe and like and share with your friends. It said that as soon as she opened her eyes from her prayer on the same day, not the next day she was praying about, she saw clouds and automatically believed it wasn't going to come true. Well, this is the same thing. Our subconscious is telling us to go after it, go do it, write this down. Oh, that's a great thought. And before you finish writing it down, you're already like, but I can't see it. And this is the point of seeing it before you see it. I'm not going to get stuck here. I'm going to keep moving. So what do you do to help with this? God will just tell you to do things and read this to you. And then you're like, okay, great. I have this problem. I want to fix it. I want to work on my subconscious. I want to have faith and believe in the magic that is believing in the subconscious. I want to do what the top people do and believe that what I put on the paper is going to come true, even if I can't in my eye see it, but in my mind's eye can. How do I get there? All right, stay tuned. Here we come. It says it in the book right here. The solution of your problem will be revealed to you, and the correct course of action is going to be indicated. There must be no hesitation on your part. I didn't say it, page 43. There are opportunities that fall in your life every day, and you hesitate on it because you're like, I don't have the skills for that. I'm not qualified for that. I don't know how to do that. But the people who do become qualified started before they were. They took the opportunity. There was no hesitation, no mental reservation, no deliberation, because they had confidence in themselves and they believe that it will come. But it only comes if you take it, if you go for it, if you try it. All right. So he says, he gives an example. This made me think of the podcast summit that I went to that I won $100 at because I did not have fear of getting up and seizing the opportunity, right? It says, I'm gonna start on page 43 at the bottom here. You must receive the message from the subconscious freely. And after understanding it, you must act on it at once. Only by so doing will you make your subconscious serve you and continue to respond whenever you call upon it. I could interchange this with God. You want Lord, the God that you believe in, to continue to serve your wishes and your prayers, but you must continue to respond whenever you called upon. Like God is saying, go do these things. You're like, but I don't have this, but I don't know how to do this, but they're going to laugh at me. You keep giving God butts. You keep giving your subconscious butts. And so then your God stops serving you. Like, I didn't give it to you, not listening. Okay, I hear you praying, but until you listen to what I said to do before, I'm not going to keep giving it to you. However, on page 44, this book that was written in like the 1930s, that is true today, your problem may be one that cannot be solved in the above manner. Instead of receiving a solution in the form of a blueprint, as it were, to guide your steps to the final fulfillment, you may instead, it may not be a beautiful blueprint that says, put your steps here and do this. And then next, you're going to put it here, do that. Because a blueprint, there's no thinking when it comes to a blueprint. You just do what the blueprint says. But it's saying you're looking for a blueprint. This is the magic of believing. But the blueprint is not coming the way we want it to come. So what is it saying? You may instead feel some mysterious force urging you at intervals to do certain things that seem to have no special significance or logical connection. You may be urged to do something. You're like, this don't make sense to do this, but I'm being urged. So I'm going, well, what you should do is do it. I'm going to give you an example of this. When I read this, I was like, oh my God, this is what happened. Nevertheless, you must continue to believe in the power and the wisdom of the subconscious and obediently perform the seemingly irrelevant things. And then one day you will find yourself in a position you sought through the aid of your subconscious and doing the work you envision for yourself. Then when you look back, you will see how the things you were called upon to do all formed a logical line of events The last one of which was your final arriving, the reward of your sincerest hopes and desires, your own triumphant personal success. Listen to me. I went, and if you've been watching me, you've been following me, you probably heard this story, right? I went, first of all, I started a podcast with no experience, but I said, I am not going to turn down this opportunity because someone saw something in me and said, my co-host, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. I've helped other people with a podcast. Would you do a podcast with me? And I didn't be like, I don't want to do a podcast. I don't know how to post to YouTube. I don't know how to interview people. I don't know how to do those things. I didn't say that, even though I hadn't done it in a podcast form. I said, you know what? You believe in me? Let's do it. You see something in me? Let's do it. So I did it. Then she was like, let's go to this podcast summit. I was like, all right, let's do it. So we flew into Miami. We rented a Tesla. And she was like, I'm renting a Tesla. I was like, okay, cool. Then she rents a Tesla. And I'm like, have you driven a Tesla before? She was like, no, I've never driven an electric car. Let's do it. And I drove the electric car the whole time. And you know what? The funny thing was, the week before we went to Miami, my husband had reserved to go drive. It starts with an R. I can't think of what this electric truck is, but he had reserved it to go test drive it. And the guy was like, do you want to try it? I was like, I'll try it. Well, only because I had tried it the week before opportunity, I took it instead of being like, I've never driven it. I'm too scared. I might crash it. I'm like, I'm in a car with the expert. His job is to help people who have never driven an electric car to help them drive an electric car. So I did it. And I was listening to what he was telling Jeremy about it, my husband about it, and how he was saying, don't do this, do this. This is how you do this. This is why I drive this way. So a week later, I was prepared for the opportunity all weekend to drive a Tesla from a person who reserved it, who had never driven an electric car. And thank God, because it really is a different experience. If you've never driven one, it's a good idea to have somebody who has give you instruction. So there's that. Went to the podcast, and then it says here, you're going to feel some mysterious force urging you at intervals to do certain things that seem to have no special significance or logical connection. He said at the podcast, there was 2 times. One was like, if you took notes and you can come up here and tell us 5 takeaways from the speaker, we'll give you a free t-shirt. And I ran up there. Now there was a guy that was about to beat me. He had on dreads. And so I kicked off my shoes because I couldn't run those shoes. And he was right there. He felt like he had it. There is someone right now that you are watching have what you want. They are like this close. Even to you, it looks like they already have it. They already have the appointment you were supposed to get. They already have the job, the promotion you were supposed to have. And you're about to give up on that. I could have gave up and said, you know what? I had to throw my shoes off. There was thousands of people in that room. And I could have cared about what those thousands of people thought when I threw my shoes off and ran up there, but I did not. And I didn't care that he was that close. You know, it really was in my mind that because I do this, they might give out 2 t-shirts. And so I did it. And I thought, at the worst case scenario, I don't lose it, but attention is attention. And I'm trying to grow followers on my podcast. So there's thousands of people in this room who are going to see me run up there, and that's going to be the attention. And they might come up to me afterwards, be like, hey, what's your podcast? Girl, I saw you. Conversation. Business is conversation. I knew conversations would be had by that moment, me taking advantage of that moment. So I ran up there. I beat the guy who was there. I tipped my 5 things and got the t-shirt. Then the next day, it was a 2-day conference. The next day, they asked for a volunteer to come up there and interview the person who put the entire podcast summit together. And I had an urge on the inside to do it. Like, it was something I was like, I should go up there. No, I don't. And the lady behind me was like, girl, you need to go up there and do it. So I was like, fine. I went up there, killed it. The whole room was clapping for me. I interviewed the guy, like we were on a podcast, and asked him questions. Now, this isn't even the win. This isn't even the where he says here, when you look back, you'll see how the things you were called upon to do all formed a logical line of events. Now, here's where it comes in. Because my $1 million, and I've already been a millionaire, y'all. That's a whole nother concept for another day, and I might add it in here in a minute. But I went up there, killed it. He gave me $100. I took pictures with my $100. You know, I was real, and that's the picture that they got of me with my $100. I went back to my seat, and the lady behind me, I gave $20. And she's like, oh, why are you giving this? I said, because it was your voice. I wanted to do it. Something was telling me to do it, but you deserve a portion of this $100 because you pushed me to go up there. She was like, oh, that is so nice. I was like, because I know from which my help comes from. Okay. And I know that I could have sat anywhere in that room, but I was purposely put in front of her at that time, at that place. She was like my subconscious thinking to me. It was already urging me on the inside, and I listened to the urge. I listened to my intuition. Now, I didn't know, like it says here, that formed a logical line of events that you'll look back at the reward of your sincerest hopes and desires and your own triumphant personal success. When you look back, you will see how the things you were called upon to do all came up to logical events. This new business that I'm doing right now, people are like, that is so vastly different. It's like fully left from the right that you've been doing. I found this business by listening, because a year prior to me going to that podcast summit, I was not listening to nobody's podcast. I ended up one day going on YouTube and listening, the person who I interviewed, listening to his podcast. And he was interviewing the person who is the broker I'm a consultant in his brokerage, his solar brokerage. And I look back now and I am positive that those events led to where I am now. And I'm positive that I did the numbers for my business and I've already hit $1 million. So the magic of believing I'd be a millionaire, it's happened. But I was wrong with what I was believing. Okay, great. I'm a millionaire. What I need to speak and believe now is that I didn't go. Some people might say, well, now you'll go and say you're going to be a millionaire, like make $1 million a year. I'm moving past that. I'm making $1 million a month. And you know how I've lined myself up with that? Because my broker, the person whose brokerage I've joined, has made $1 million in a month. So I am positioned now for that. That's the magic of believing. Now, I'm going to say, read the book, because there's so many things I believe now, but they spend the next chapter giving so many instances in which someone's belief has opened doors for them because they believe it's going to happen. So I'm going to move on because I can stay here for a while and I've got so much more I want to cover in this one Tuesday tea. But he goes on, and I'm thinking it's maybe not even meant for me to talk on this, about the repetition or the chants or affirmations that lead to belief, that it happens in religion, that Hitler, not to compare, it says on page 46, I'm not even going to try to explain it, you read the book for yourself. It says on page 46, it is obvious that in similar religions, cults, and orders, that they do repetitions, either mystical or otherwise, and they play an important part. Not saying that cults, I'm going to go ahead and explain it for him here. Not saying that cults are the same as religion or saying that rituals are the same, but the one thing they all have in common that causes people to be believers is repetition. Hitler, he gives an example here, openly stated that the psychology of suggestion was a terrible weapon in the hands of anyone who knows how to use it. The thing is, if you believe in good, you must believe in bad. And they both we talk about the angel of the devil who became the Satan. He was an angel first. He uses the same tools that he learned sitting in the gates of heaven to persuade people to go his route. So the one thing we need to wrap our minds around is repetition works either for evil or for positive, either for good or for bad. You have to do things over and over and over again. What does that mean? And it's a reply to the suggestion of power that affirmations and the magic of believing have to be put in front of you over and over again, so much so that you are hypnotized by the belief that everything you need has been given to you and you have it all within you. And you have everything you need to jump on the opportunity when it's presented to you, instead of saying, I can't do this. You see the same force actively at work in the fluctuations of the stock market. Unfavorable news immediately depresses prices while favorable news raises them, only because of how people react to it. Someone can react positively to negative news and they win. But what tends to happen is people react negatively to negative news. I tend to not be that way. And the funny thing is people look at me crazy, but I'm like, it's all how you choose to see it, right? Someone passes away. I choose to look at the positive. I can't control them dying. I can't bring them back. So I only operate in the magic of believing that they serve their purpose and we're going to celebrate their life that they lived, right? It's how you see the news. Now, going on, because I'm didn't even mean to stick there. Let's see, on page 60, It talks about the ones of you who are going to listen to this and doubt it. He says on page 60, I know that some listeners, I know that some listeners on here, he knows when he wrote this, that some readers will say that these are merely coincidences. But my files are filled with similar coincidences. To some of you, they may be just that. But those who are acquainted with this science, I know that these things have come about as a result of intensified thoughts or mental picture making. However, we can come again to a matter of opinion. The difference in conclusions between those who think this is all nonsense and those who know that things we think materialize after their kind. Now, he also says, and I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but he says in his book, and I encourage you to read it for yourself, The Magic of Believing. He says that people put things in front of them and they believe that the things they put in front of them makes a difference. For example, when you go into anybody's, if you've ever been to a 6-figure earner's home, 7 figures on her home, they're going to have affirmations posted around them. They're going to have pictures of successful people. They might have Oprah on their wall or Obama on their wall. They might even have Hitler on their wall, right? Because at the end of the day, the one thing Hitler did, he did it for the wrong, or Stalin did it for wrong things, but they were great leaders, leading of the things that we may not agree with, but leader nonetheless, right? And so they may have these things, and these same people will say that they don't believe in putting things in front of you to make a difference. But if they don't believe that, then why do they have these famous people on their wall? Because they subconsciously, it is doing the same things for them, whether they believe in the magic of it or not. I'm not going to stay there, but come on, people, listen to me. Your pastor still has certain things in his office around him because he knows the importance of having certain things in front of him. If not, he'd have strippers on his wall, but he doesn't, does he? No, he does not, because he understands the magic of believing and having things in front of him every day that reminds him of the correct way of thinking. Now, some of you are going to like, but I keep thinking about negative things. How I fix that? And we're going to wrap this up and you're going to read the book and we're going to come back next week. You know what? It's a good time for me to give you the homework. Maybe give you homework. Y'all ready for the homework? Drop number 3 in the comments if you're ready for homework. Or if you do like the pastor and say, Pastor, we got time. Keep going. I feel like y'all going to be like, Pastor, we got time. Keep going. I'm by no means a pastor. I'm just a deliverer of information that has been helpful for me. And I'm sharing it so that it can be helpful to you. And they say, if you want to keep something from people, put it in a book. I don't believe a lot of people are going to read. As a former elementary assistant principal educator, those who teaches kids from the foundation, I know people aren't going to read. All right. So this is my way of continuing to read myself and then sharing what I've learned. And hopefully you read and form your own opinions. This is definitely coming from my vantage point. So it says, let me skip because I done underlined so many things and I was not meant to talk to you about all these things that I've underlined. But I do want to talk to you about overcoming self-doubt. And say on page 57, I may have already touched on this. Without question, human imagination or visualization and concentration are the chief factors in developing the magnetic forces of the subconscious mind. Human imagination and visualization are the chief factors in your subconscious mind. Visualization and imagine. If you can't imagine, you need to see it. If you can't see it, you need to imagine. You pick your heart. So here's some suggestion. Repeated suggestion plays its part. It's a manner of coming is of no great consequence. The process is the same when you are after a better job or planning a vacation. You got to see it in your mind's eye. You'll get it when you give your subconscious a mental picture of yourself holding the job. I do this all the time. As a vendor, I used to do vending events. I noticed the difference when I would visualize my money goal. So if I visualized passing of money, passing of credit cards, and at the end, I saw myself being happy making $500 at this vending event, guess what I made? $500. Now, I didn't always start at $500. I'd be like, I'm going to make $100. I'm going to be here for 2 hours. I'm going to be here for 4 hours. What would be worth my time? What would be my hourly amount? That's how much I'm going to make. Not only did I say it, but I saw it in my mind, meaning I saw me like literally driving there. I would visualize seeing me. Can you visualize me now? Driving in the car, taking the tent out, setting up the jewelry, smiling at the customers, swiping their cards, giving them change for the dollars. All right. They give me $20 bill, or I wasn't giving them change because they were buying 4 accessories at the time, which is what I was selling when I was vending. It always worked out. And the days that I didn't, like if it was raining, I was like the lady who looked outside. I was like, oh, it's raining. This is not going to be a good event. There's going to be nobody there. Then guess what happened? Nobody was there. Now, why does this magic of believing happen? This is my thought process. I believe this happens and you actually get what you see, because I'm not seeing myself sitting down at the vending event. No. When I'm visualizing me making $500 at this vending event, I'm seeing myself talking to customers. So when I get there, what I got to do? Talk to customers. I'm seeing myself in that picture smiling. I'm seeing myself that if it does rain, I'm going to go live. So I have a backup in my mind already of how I'm going to be successful. This is the magic of believing, because when you see it, you show up differently. If you see yourself getting the contract, you see yourself shaking hands, you see yourself already with the correct body language and the posture needed for this, then you don't walk in there slumped down like it's not going to work. You walk in there because you saw yourself winning already. That is the magic of believing. So what is your homework? Let's just jump to it. The homework is on page 82. He says, let's get down to the mechanics. How do you do what I'm capable of doing right now in my life, of visualizing and making that magic happen? How you able to do it? He said, let's go down to the mechanics. Secure 3 or 4 cards. How many cards y'all got to get? Drop it in the comments. How many cards you got to get? 3 or 4. Ordinary business size cards. We call these index cards. I actually have some right here in my drawer. Secure 3 or 4. There's the lines on that side, and there's the regular. Secure your index cards. What are you putting on these? In your office, your home, your room, or any other place where you can have privacy. So if you got the kids running around, you need to go to the bathroom and close the door. Although I have a 3-year-old who will say, Mommy, you got a poopy? Mommy, you pee-peeing? Mommy, what are you doing? So that may not work for me if that's where I need to go. But I'd wait for her to go to bed. And it says, sit down and ask yourself what you desire above everything else. When the answers come and you are certain that it is your utmost desire, then at the top of one of your cards, write a word picture of it. So you're going to put the word on here of what you really want. 1 or 2 words may be sufficient. So it could be a job, a better job, more money, a home of your own. Then on each card, duplicate the words. So you're going to put the words here, the 1 or 2 words there, the 1 or 2 words on this one, the same one, the 1 or 2 words on this 3rd card, and the 1 or 2 words on this 4th card. This is what y'all done read these books. Y'all done went to these trainings. This book was written in in Manola, New York, 48. So every time you go into a training and somebody said do this, it came from here, unless there was a book that was written before 1948, and there probably was one written in 1920, and he took it from this, and then they've been taking it and putting it here. But anyway, stay on task. Page 82. Then on each card, duplicate the words. Carry one in your billfold or handbag, so in your purse or your wallet. Place another one alongside your bed or fasten it to your bedstead. Place another one on your shaving mirror or dressing table. And another on your desk. The whole idea, as you may have guessed, is to enable you to see mentally the picture at all hours of the day. Just before going to sleep at night, waking up in the morning, highly important moments of the 24 hours in which you to concentrate upon your thoughts with that added force. But don't stop with merely those 2 periods. For the more often you can visualize the desire by this method or by one of your own devising, the speedier the materialization. That's how I know. It took me 12 years to hit $1 million in my business. I had without any shadow of doubt. And the funny thing was, for me, this is almost a chronicle, so I can come back to this and be like, I said by 45, I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, I'm already a millionaire. Depending on how you define millionaire, I've already made $1 million in my business. But I have 4 years now. And I didn't know how. When I said this, I was like, I didn't know how in 5 years it was going to happen. I didn't know. Somebody was like, my co-host was like, girl, you can have that in 2 years. And I am literally at the point, because I put it in front of myself and I did the work and I was open to opportunities that came my way, the podcast that led to this opportunity. And I can't claim it's going to be this opportunity, but if it's not the current business I've started, it's this current business is going to lead me to what it's going to be. And by golly, by 45 and 4 years, I will not have been just say I've made millionaire status, because I have. It will be a millionaire at minimum. Forget it. Forget the minimum. I will be a millionaire per month. 12 million will be mine. Now, here's the thing, and that's why I switched it up, because I didn't touch on this, but I want to touch on this. This is how I know when people aren't ready for this activity. So if you're going to write this and you said, I think I'm going to do this, you're not ready. When you heard me say do this homework and you was like, I'm doing that. Or I've already done that, do it again. All right. It says here, as the start, you may have no idea of how the results are going to come. Just leave it to the subconscious. You will receive assistance from the most unexpected resources. You will find that ideas useful in the accomplishment of your program will come at most unexpected times. Now, if you need stories to fulfill this, to follow this, to then read this book, yes, stories upon stories of people who didn't know where it was coming from, but they put it in their subconscious and it came. All right, they were driving down the street one day and bam, the trash can they've been trying to look for was there. So here is how I know when people aren't ready. I had it. No, I can't remember the page. I was trying to look over my notes where I put it at, but I did write it at the top. So it's the top of one of these pages. Oh, that ain't it. Is it? Nope. See, I have so many things I underline. I may not be able to find it, so it may not be meant for me to tell y'all at this moment, at this un momento. Is that even really Spanish? I'll be saying it all the time. That how I know when people are not ready for what they say they want. Only a few people. Oh, here it goes. On page 73, he says, you've just got to make up your mind that you're going to have a telephone installed in your apartment and you must believe it. So that's one of the stories about a guy who he told how to fix his problem of not having a telephone, because you imagine 1948, it was expensive as hell. He knew he needed it to solve his problems for his business, but he couldn't afford it. And then he told him what to do. And the guy says, I'll try it. Oh, I hate the word try. And then quickly catching himself, no, I'll do it. I'll get that telephone. I ain't going to do what you told me to do and make it happen. When I set out, somebody says, I want to make an extra $1,000 a month. And I give you the plan. I give you the plan based on the life that you said you have. You only got 10 hours. This is what you need to do with your 10 hours a week. You only got 20 hours. This is what you need to do with your 20 hours a week. You only got 5 hours. This is what you need to do with your 5 hours a week for the next 4 months. And then you say, I'll try. You ain't ready. And I said, all right, girl, I'll be here when you got any questions to help you, assist you. If you do this for, or I follow some of mine, I said, all right, it's been a week. What have you done? And in silence, you ain't ready. But the one thing about me and my leadership is I don't hold that against somebody else. And I don't even hold it against you. When you come back, it's going to be the same plan. And when you ready to say, nah, I'll try, you say, I got it done. And when you get it done, you come back to me because you're going to get it done earlier than a week. You're going to say, girl, I got that done in 3 days. What's next? I'm here for the what's next. So who's going to do the homework? Me. You going to do the homework? Great. I'll see you back here next week for the Tuesday tea with me. And next week we are getting to, I might finish this book quicker than I thought. I might need to slow down. No, the mirror technique for releasing the subconscious and how to project your thoughts. Ooh, how to project your thoughts. I'm excited. Love y'all. See you back here next week. Bye.